before them, swallowing all in their path. Do this, and you will be the greatest wrestler in the land. The teacher retired. Onami sat in meditation, trying to imagine himself as waves. He thought of different things. Then gradually he turned more and more to the feeling of the waves. As the night advanced, the waves became larger and larger. They swept away the flowers in their vases. Even the Buddha in the shrine was inundated. Before dawn, the temple was nothing but the flow of an immense sea. In the morning, the teacher found Onami meditating, a faint smile on his face. He patted the wrestler's shoulder. Now nothing can disturb you, he said. You are those waves. You will sweep everything before you. The same day, Onami entered the wrestling contests and won. After that, no one in Japan was able to defeat him. Ryokan, a Zen master, lived the simplest kind of life in a little hut at the foot of a mountain. One evening, a thief visited the hut, only to discover there was nothing in it to steal. Ryokan returned and caught him. You may have come a long way to visit me, he told the prowler, and you should not return empty-handed. Please take my clothes as a gift. The thief was bewildered. He took the clothes and slunk away. Ryokan sat naked watching the moon. Poor fellow, he mused. I wish I could give him this beautiful moon. The Zen master Ho-Shin lived in China many years. Then he returned to the northeastern part of Japan, where he taught his disciples. When he was getting very old, he told them a story he had heard in China. This is the story. One year, on the 25th of December, Tokufu, who was very old, said to his disciples, I'm not going to be alive next year, so you fellows should treat me well this year. The pupils thought he was joking, but since he was a great-hearted teacher, each of them in turn treated him to a feast on succeeding days of the departing year. On the eve of the new year, Tokufu concluded, You have been good to me. I shall leave you tomorrow afternoon when the snow has stopped. The disciples laughed, thinking he was aging and talking nonsense, since the night was clear and without snow. But at midnight, snow began to fall, and the next day they did not find their teacher about. They went to the meditation hall. There he had passed on. Ho-Shin, who related this story, told his disciples, It is not necessary for a Zen master to predict his passing, but if he really wishes to do so, he can. Can you? Someone asked. Yes, answered Ho-Shin. I will show you what I can do 7 days from now. None of the disciples believed him, and most of them had even forgotten the conversation when Ho-Shin called them together. 7 days ago, he remarked, I said I was going to leave you. It is customary to write a farewell poem, but I am neither a poet nor calligrapher. Let one of you inscribe my last words. His followers thought he was joking, but one of them started to write. Are you ready? Ho-Shin asked. Yes, sir, replied the writer. Then Ho-Shin dictated, I came from brilliancy and return to brilliancy. What is this? The poem was one line short of the customary 4, so the disciple said, Master, we are 1 line short. Ho-Shin, with the roar of a conquering lion, shouted, Ka! And was gone. The exquisite Shonkei, whose other name was Suzu, was compelled to marry against her wishes when she was quite young. Later, after this marriage had ended, she attended the university where she studied philosophy. To see Shonkei was to fall in love with her. Moreover, wherever she went, she herself fell in love with others. Love was with her at the university, and afterwards, when philosophy did not satisfy her and she visited a temple to learn about Zen, the Zen students fell in love with her. Shonkei's whole life was saturated with love. At last in Kyoto she became a real student of Zen. Her brothers in the sub-temple of Yin praised her sincerity. One of them proved to be a congenial spirit and assisted her in the mastery of Zen.
Let's get fiscal. Lesson 2, credit card combat. Getting your finances together? Learn to master your money with Credit Karma today for a stronger tomorrow. Defend yourself against generic advice and one-size-fits-all recommendations. Credit Karma gathers offers from trusted partners, helping you quickly pin down the cards and loans that are right for you, so you can build those
assisted her in the mastery of Zen. The abbot of Kenin, Mokurai, Silent Thunder, was severe. He kept the precepts himself and expected his priests to do so. In modern Japan, whatever zeal these priests have lost for Buddhism, they seem to have gained for taking wives. Mokurai used to take a broom and chase the women away when he found them in any of his temples, but the more wives he swept out, the more seemed to come back. In this particular temple, the wife of the head priest became jealous of Shunkei's earnestness and beauty. Hearing the students praise her serious Zen made this wife squirm and itch. Finally, she spread a rumor about Shunkei and the young man who was her friend. As a consequence, he was expelled, and Shunkei was removed from the temple. I may have made the mistake of love, thought Shunkei, but the priest's wife shall not remain in the temple either if my friend is to be treated so unjustly. Shunkei the same night with a can of kerosene set fire to the 500-year-old temple and burned it to the ground. In the morning she found herself in the hands of the police. A young lawyer became interested in her and endeavored to make her sentence lighter. "Do not help me," she told him. "I might decide to do something else which would only imprison me again." At last a sentence of 7 years was completed, and Shunkei was released from the prison, where the 60-year-old warden also had become enamored of her. But now everyone looked upon her as a jailbird. No one would associate with her. Even the Zen people who were supposed to believe in enlightenment in this life and with this body shunned her. Zen, Shunkei found, was one thing, and the followers of Zen quite another. Her relatives would have nothing to do with her. She grew sick, poor, and weak. She met a Shinsu priest who taught her the name of the Buddha of love, and in this Shunkei found some solace and peace of mind. She passed away when she was still exquisitely beautiful and hardly 30 years old. She wrote her own story in a futile endeavor to support herself, and some of it she told to a woman writer, so it reached the Japanese people. Those who rejected Shunkei, those who slandered and hated her, now read of her life with tears of remorse. In Tokyo in the Meiji era, there lived 2 prominent teachers of opposite characteristics. One, Unsho, an instructor in Shingon, kept Buddha's precepts scrupulously. He never drank intoxicants, nor did he eat after 11 o'clock in the morning. The other teacher, Tanzan, a professor of philosophy at the Imperial University, never observed the precepts. When he felt like eating, he ate, and when he felt like sleeping in the daytime, he slept. One day Unsho visited Tanzan, who was drinking wine at the time, not even a drop of which is supposed to touch the tongue of a Buddhist. "Hello, brother," Tanzan greeted him. "Won't you have a drink?" "I never drink," exclaimed Unsho solemnly. "Who does not drink is not even human," said Tanzan. "Do you mean to call me inhuman just because I do not indulge in intoxicating liquids?" exclaimed Unsho in anger. "Then if I am not human, what am I?" "A Buddha," answered Tanzan. Shoun became a teacher of Soto Zen. When he was still a student, his father passed away, leaving him to care for his old mother. Whenever Shoun went to a meditation hall, he always took his mother with him. Since she accompanied him when he visited monasteries, he could not live with the monks. So he would build a little house and care for her there. He would copy sutras, Buddhist verses, and in this manner receive a few coins for food. When Showan brought fish for his mother, people would scoff at him, for a monk is not supposed to eat fish. But Showan did not mind. His mother, however, was hurt to see others laugh at her son. Finally she told Showan, "I think I will become a nun. I can be a vegetarian too." She did, and they studied together. Showan was fond of music and was a master of the harp, which his mother also played. On full moon nights they used to play together. One night a young lady passed by their house and heard music. Deeply touched, she invited Showan to visit her the next evening and play. He accepted the invitation. A few days later he met the young lady on the street and thanked her for her hospitality. Others laughed at him. He had visited the house of a woman of the streets. One day Showan left for a distant temple to deliver a lecture. A few months afterwards he returned home to find his mother dead. Friends had not known where to reach him, so the funeral was then in progress. Showan walked up and hit the coffin with his staff. "Mother, your son has returned," he said. "I'm glad to see you've returned, son," he answered for his mother. "Yes, I'm glad too," Showan responded. Then he announced to the people about him, "The funeral ceremony is over. You may bury the body." When Showan was old, he knew his end was approaching. He asked his disciples to gather around him in the morning, telling them he was going to pass on at noon. Burning incense before the picture of his mother and his old teacher, he wrote a poem. "For 56 years, I lived as best I could, making my way in this world. Now the rain has ended. The clouds are clearing. The blue sky has a full moon." His disciples gathered about him, reciting a sutra, and Showan passed on during the invocation. A university student, while visiting Gasan, asked him, "Have you ever read the Christian Bible?" "No, read it to me," said Gasan. The student opened the Bible and read from St. Matthew. "And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself." Gasan said, "Whoever uttered those words I consider an enlightened man." The student continued reading. "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened." Gasan remarked, "That is excellent. Whoever said that is not far from Buddhahood." Buddha told a parable in a sutra. A man traveling across a field encountered a tiger. He fled, the tiger after him. Coming to a precipice, he caught hold of the root of a wild vine and swung himself down over the edge. The tiger sniffed at him from above. Trembling, the man looked down to where, far below, another tiger was waiting to eat him. Only the vine sustained him. Two mice, one white and one black, little by little started to gnaw away the vine. The man saw a luscious strawberry near him. Grasping the vine with one hand, he plucked the strawberry with the other. How sweet it tasted! When one goes to Obaku Temple in Kyoto, he sees carved over the gate the words, "The First Principle." The letters are unusually large, and those who appreciate calligraphy always admire them as being a masterpiece. They were drawn by Kosen 200 years ago. When the master drew them, he did so on paper from which workmen made the larger carving in wood. As Kosen sketched the letters, a bold pupil was with him who had made several gallons of ink for the calligraphy and and who never failed to criticize his master's work. That is not good, he told Kosen after the first effort. How was that one? Poor, worse than before, pronounced the pupil. Kosen patiently wrote one sheet after another until 84 first principles had accumulated, still without the approval of the pupil. Then when the young man stepped outside for a few moments, Kosen thought, now is my chance to escape his keen eye, and he wrote hurriedly with a mind free from distraction. The first principle. A masterpiece, pronounced the pupil. Jiun, a Shingon master, was a well-known Sanskrit scholar of the Tokugawa era. When he was young, he used to deliver lectures to his brother's students. His mother heard about this and wrote him a letter. Son, I do not think you became a devotee of the Buddha because you desired to turn into a walking dictionary for others. There is no end to information and commentation, glory and honor. I wish you would stop this lecture business. Shut yourself up in a little temple in a remote part of the mountain. Devote your time to meditation, and in this way, attain true realization.
Ready to lose the hat and regrow the hair? With sprays by Hims, you can regain your hair and your confidence. Our sprays are powered by clinically proven ingredients like oxidil and finasteride, so you can grow thicker, fuller hair in 3 to 6 months. Your treatment is 100% personalized to your hair goals and comes at an affordable price that works for your budget, so you can step out with full confidence. Hats off to hair growth with treatment that works for you. Start today at hims.com.
The master of Kenin Temple was Mokurai, Silent Thunder. He had a little protege named Toyo, who was only 12 years old. Toyo saw the older disciples visit the master's room each morning and evening to receive instructions in sanzen, or personal guidance, in which they were given koans to stop mind wandering. Toyo wished to do a sanzen also. Wait a while, said Mokurai. You're too young. But the child insisted, so the teacher finally consented. In the evening, little Toyo went at the proper time to the threshold of Mokurai's sanzen room. He struck the gong to announce his presence, bowed respectfully 3 times outside the door, and went to sit before the master in respectful silence. You can hear the sound of 2 hands when they clap together, said Mokurai. Now show me the sound of 1 hand. Toyo bowed and went to his room to consider this problem. From his window he could hear the music of the geishas. Ah, I have it, he proclaimed. The next evening, when his teacher asked him to illustrate the sound of 1 hand, Toyo began to play the music of the geishas. No, said Mokurai, that will never do. That is not the sound of 1 hand. You've not got it at all. Thinking that such music might interrupt, Toyo moved his abode to a quiet place. He meditated again. What can the sound of 1 hand be? He happened to hear some water dripping. I have it, imagined Toyo. When he next appeared before his teacher, Toyo imitated dripping water. What is that? Asked Mokurai. That is the sound of dripping water, but not the sound of 1 hand. Try again. In vain, Toyo meditated to hear the sound of 1 hand. He heard the sighing of the wind, but the sound was rejected. He heard the cry of an owl. This also was refused. The sound of 1 hand was not the locusts. For more than 10 times, Toyo visited Mokurai with different sounds. All were wrong. For almost a year, he pondered what the sound of 1 hand might be. At last, little Toyo entered true meditation and transcended all sounds. I could collect no more, he explained later, so I reached the soundless sound. Toyo had realized the sound of 1 hand. Soyen Shaku, the first Zen teacher to come to America, said, "My heart burns like fire, but my eyes are as cold as dead ashes." He made the following rules which he practiced every day of his life. In the morning before dressing, light incense and meditate. Retire at a regular hour. Partake of food at regular intervals. Eat with moderation and never to the point of satisfaction. Receive a guest with the same attitude you have when alone. When alone, maintain the same attitude you have in receiving guests. Watch what you say, and whatever you say, practice it. When an opportunity comes, do not let it pass by, yet always think twice before acting. Do not regret the past, look to the future. Have the fearless attitude of a hero and the loving heart of a child. Upon retiring, sleep as if you had entered your last sleep. Upon awakening, leave your bed behind you instantly, as if you had cast away a pair of old shoes. When Eishun, the Zen nun, was past 60 and about to leave this world, she asked some monks to pile up wood in the yard. Seating herself firmly in the center of the funeral pyre, she had it set fire around the edges. "Oh, nun," shouted one monk, "is it hot in there?" "Such a matter would concern only a stupid person like yourself," answered Eishun. Flames arose, and she passed away. A farmer requested a Tendai priest to recite sutras for his wife who had died. After the recitation was over, the farmer asked, "Do you think my wife will gain merit from this?" "Not only your wife, but all sentient beings will benefit from the recitation of sutras," answered the priest. "If you say all sentient beings will benefit," said the farmer, "my wife may be very weak and others will take advantage of her, getting the benefit she should have. So please, recite sutras just for her." The priest explained that it was the desire of a Buddhist to offer blessings and wish merit for every living being. "That is a fine teaching," concluded the farmer, "but please make one exception. I have a neighbor who is rough and mean to me. Just exclude him from all those sentient beings." Suiwo, the disciple of Hakuin, was a good teacher. During one summer seclusion period, a pupil came to him from a southern island of Japan. Suiwo gave him a problem. Hear the sound of one hand. The pupil remained 3 years but could not pass this test. One night he came in tears to Suiwo. "I must return south in shame and embarrassment," he said, "for I cannot solve my problem." "Wait 1 week more and meditate constantly," advised Suiwo. Still no enlightenment came to the pupil. "Try for another week," said Suiwo. The pupil obeyed, but in vain. Still another week. Yet this was of no avail. In despair, the student begged to be released, but Suiwo requested another meditation of 5 days. They were without result. Then he said, "Meditate for 3 days longer. Then if you fail to attain enlightenment, you had better kill yourself." On the 2nd day, the pupil was enlightened. Provided he makes and wins an argument about Buddhism with those who live there, any wandering monk can remain in the Zen temple. If he is defeated, he has to move on. In a temple in the northern part of Japan, 2 brother monks were dwelling together. The elder one was learned, but the younger one was stupid and had but one eye. A wandering monk came and asked for lodging, properly challenging them to a debate about the sublime teaching. The elder brother, tired that day from much studying, told the younger one to take his place. "Request the dialogue in silence," he cautioned. So the young monk and the stranger went to the shrine and sat down. Shortly afterwards, the traveler rose and went into the elder brother and said, "Your young brother is a wonderful fellow. He defeated me." "Relate the dialogue to me," said the elder one. "Well," explained the traveler, "first I held up one finger, representing Buddha, the enlightened one. So he held up two fingers, signifying Buddha and his teaching. I held up three fingers, representing Buddha, his teaching, and his followers living the harmonious life. Then he shook his clenched fist in my face, indicating that all three come from one realization. Thus he won, and so I have no right to remain here." With this, the traveler left. "Where's that fellow?" asked the younger one, running into his elder brother. "I understand you won the debate." "Won nothing. I'm going to beat him up." "Tell me the subject of the debate," asked the elder one. "Why, the minute he saw me, he held up one finger, insulting me by insinuating that I have only one eye. Since he was a stranger, I thought I would be polite to him, so I held up two fingers, congratulating him that he has two eyes. Then the impolite wretch held up three fingers, suggesting that between us we only have three eyes. So I got mad and started to punch him, but he ran out and that ended it." After Bankei had passed away, a blind man who lived near the master's temple told a friend, "Since I'm blind, I cannot watch a person's face, so I must judge his character by the sound of his voice. Ordinarily, when I hear someone congratulate another upon his happiness or success, I also hear a secret tone of envy. When condolence is expressed for the misfortune of another, I hear pleasure and satisfaction, as if the one condoling was really glad there was something left to gain in his own world. In all my experience, however, Bankei's voice was always sincere. Whenever he expressed happiness, I heard nothing but happiness, and whenever he expressed sorrow, sorrow was all I heard."
Even if you exercise regularly, you may be at risk for heart attack or stroke. Find out why today.
Do you want a ding to your credit? I don't want a ding. So when I needed a new credit card, I went to Experian. See these cards with no ding decline? Your credit won't take a ding if you're declined, so you can apply with confidence. Get the Experian app now.
Keichu, the great Zen teacher of the Meiji era, was the head of Tofuku, a cathedral in Kyoto. One day the governor of Kyoto called upon him for the first time. His attendant presented the card of the governor, which read, "Kitagaki, governor of Kyoto." "I have no business with such a fellow," said Keichu to his attendant. "Tell him to get out of here." The attendant carried the card back with apologies. "That was my error," said the governor, and with a pencil he scratched out the words, "Governor of Kyoto." "Ask your teacher again." "Oh, is that Kitagaki?" exclaimed the teacher when he saw the card. "I want to see that fellow." When Banzan was walking through a market, he overheard a conversation between a butcher and his customer. "Give me the best piece of meat you have," said the customer. "Everything in my shop is the best," replied the butcher. "You cannot find here any piece of meat that is not the best." At these words, Banzan became enlightened. Mokusen Hiki was living in a temple in the province of Tamba. One of his adherents complained of the stinginess of his wife. Mokusen visited the adherent's wife and showed her his clenched fist before her face. "What do you mean by that?" asked the surprised woman. "Suppose my fist were always like that. What would you call it?" he asked. "Deformed," replied the woman. Then he opened his hand flat in her face and asked, "Suppose it were always like that. What then?" "Another kind of deformity," said the wife. "If you understand that much," finished Mokusen, "you are a good wife." Then he left. After his visit, this wife helped her husband to distribute as well as to save. Mokugen was never known to smile until his last day on earth. When his time came to pass away, he said to his faithful ones, "You have studied under me for more than 10 years. Show me your real interpretation of Zen. Whoever expresses this most clearly shall be my successor and receive my robe and bowl." Everyone watched Mokugen's severe face, but no one answered. Encho, a disciple who had been with his teacher for a long time, moved near the bedside. He pushed forward the medicine cup a few inches. This was his answer to the command. The teacher's face became even more severe. "Is that all you understand?" he asked. Encho reached out and moved the cup back again. A beautiful smile broke over the features of Mokugen. "You rascal," he told Encho. "You have worked with me 10 years and have not yet seen my whole body. Take the robe and bowl. They belong to you." Zen students are with their masters at least 10 years before they presume to teach others. Non-In was visited by Tenno, who, having passed his apprenticeship, had become a teacher. The day happened to be rainy, so Tenno wore wooden clogs and carried an umbrella. After greeting him, Non-In remarked, "I suppose you left your wooden clogs in the vestibule. I want to know if your umbrella is on the right or left side of the clogs." Tenno, confused, had no instant answer. He realized that he was unable to carry his Zen every minute. He became Non-In's pupil, and he studied 6 more years to accomplish his every-minute Zen. Subhuti was Buddha's disciple. He was able to understand the potency of emptiness, the viewpoint that nothing exists except in its relationship of subjectivity and objectivity. One day, Subhuti, in a mood of sublime emptiness, was sitting under a tree. Flowers began to fall about him. "We are praising you for your discourse on emptiness," the gods whispered to him. "But I have not spoken of emptiness," said Subhuti. "You have not spoken of emptiness. We have not heard emptiness," responded the gods. "This is the true emptiness." And blossoms showered upon Subhuti as rain. Gisho was ordained as a nun when she was 10 years old. She received training just as the little boys did. When she reached the age of 16, she traveled from one Zen master to another, studying with them all. She remained 3 years with Unzan, 6 years with Kuke, but was unable to obtain a clear vision. At last she went to the master Inzan. Inzan showed her no distinction at all on account of her sex. He scolded her like a thunderstorm. He cuffed her to awaken her inner nature. Gisho remained with Inzan 13 years, and then she found that which she was seeking. In her honor, Inzan wrote a poem. "This nun studied 13 years under my guidance. In the evening she considered the deepest koans. In the morning she was wrapped in other koans. The Chinese nun Tetsuma surpassed all before her, and since Mujaku, none has been so genuine as this Gisho. Yet there are many more gates for her to pass through. She should receive still more blows from my iron fist." After Gisho was enlightened, she went to the province of Banshu, started her own Zen temple, and taught 200 other nuns until she passed away one year in the month of August.